Can I say badass on the radio?
Over and over.
Welcome to Silicon Valley Impact, where business insight meets startup innovation. Brought to you live from Silicon, California. Can I take this over? Can I start over? Please give a big, warm welcome to your host, Brian Sparks!
Yes. You gotta power through it, Brian.
I gotta power through like everybody else because we tell them just fuck it up and don't care. That's what we tell everybody that walks in here, right?
Yeah, you play messy.
So there I am fucking it up, and I gotta just not care with the rest of them.
You did a swan dive into messy, but I love it. That's what we're here for.
You know, it is what it is.
Nice, dude. Good style, at least.
So anyway, that's what I need. I need one of those.
You got everybody.
Hi, Brian. How you doing? Nice to see you.
Yeah.
How you been, man? It's been a while.
I'm good.
It's been a whole week.
Yeah.
We got a special treat today.
We do.
We do. You know what the special treat is?
I'm stumped.
Oh, we just talked about it two minutes ago.
We got a ton of stuff to talk about.
I just want to say how, I think that Silicon Valley Impact is the place to be here in Silicon Valley, right? Things are happening here. Connections are happening here. Announcements are happening here. Synergy is happening here
I feel
Silicon.
I feel the molecules.
Silicon Valley Impact.
Can't say it enough. Did you have Taco Bell for breakfast, Brian? Because you are lighting it up.
You little fuckers have no idea.
All right, we have the energy in the house, Brian. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Just trying to get things worked up here. I mean, these guys all came in with energy, right? Like we've been sitting here laughing for a while. I didn't even want to start the show. Honestly, I just wanted to hang out with these dudes and talk smack.
It was great energy.
I know. Last week we had like these nice, powerful ladies, and this week we've got these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, like the descent is
well, not to bring what we were talking about in the green room to the show, but I think you liked me being in the hot seat, and that may be something we explore in the future.
Well, I can't remember what we were talking about, Brian. Can you remind me?
No, I can't remember either. Yeah. All right, but let's not leave our audience in the dark. I want to welcome everybody to Silicon Valley Impact. I'm your host, Brian Sparks. The purpose of this show is to have honest conversations about what it takes to build great businesses and communities so that you can make an impact within your own. Thank you. All right, today we have three great guests. We have Luke, Ashish, Nick. Good to see you all here. Before we get to them, Brian, we've got a whole bunch of stuff going on. This week, we're going to be at Opal. We're going to be doing some pretty high impact interviews.
You said this week.
This week.
And I panicked.
Yeah. we talked about this before the show.
Holy, is that this week?
Yeah,
exactly. That's this week. I understand. I understand the time shift continuum there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Thank
didn't
you.
mean to catch you off guard.
Yeah, no problem. I'm with you. I'm hanging.
All right, so we'll be at Opal this week up in Napa. We also have TechCrunch coming up.
Yeah.
Brian, we're a sponsor for them, and we're going to be doing the after party, so check out the show notes for that information. And also, AJ Thomas, who was on the show last week, and myself will be hosting the IIT conference in 2026. So you can go to iit2026.org to learn more about how to get involved with that. That'll be down in Long Beach, so that's a 4-day conference. And
that's next year.
That's next year, 2026.
And did we get? Are we all like locked down for that? Are we doing that? Are we going to be there?
We'll be there. And we got Nick on the show. You want to go down with us, Brian? You want to bring the zombies down there?
Let's do it. I'm down.
Okay. All right. We'll talk about that. We definitely want to have as many all-stars.
That's how you dip it in sauce.
We'll be just riding your guys' coattails. I love it.
All right. And a big shout out to Stack Space, Stack Ventures, and the Agentic for being a big partner in the show, as well as Startup Grind and Transform. All right, with that being said, I know what you're thinking, Brian. Stop reading, get to the show.
I just want to know, for reals.
Yeah, look, take a look.
Yeah.
It's just bullet points.
All right, I just needed to see.
Okay, all right, so...
We've had this conversation. I know it bores everybody to death. I just needed to check for myself.
Are you impressed? Actually, a little bit?
I don't know if I'm impressed. I guess I'm just now informed.
Okay.
And that feels good.
This is my confidence
I just want to be in the know.
All right. So another thing that gives me confidence is great guests.
Oh, yeah. And you've got a house full today, right? The place is packed with great guests.
All right. Well, Nick, this is your second time on the show. definitely want to kick off with you and what you're working on, because we're going to be unpacking that. We'll hear from Ashish and Nick, but you know me, I don't do bios. Take it away, Nick. What are you working on?
I'm grateful to be here. Ashish, Luke, this is awesome. Brian, thank you guys. This is a real treat. Last time I was on, it was all laughter, and it was such a good time with you guys. So we're coming off, we're decompressing, you could say, because last Friday we had almost 1,000 people at the Amesville Hotel. It was our second annual Ageless Evolution Summit, which was super fun, and we brought together biotech and medtech, longevity, wellness. And so it was a pretty beautiful thing. We had live music. We had Peter Krohn, Dr. Nico Dimitriadis, applied Greek neuroscientist, came all the way from Greece. And yeah, it was a gas. I just felt very grateful to, it was like a marathon and then a long jump. Yeah. So it's just kind of, now that it's over, we get to kind of take a deep breath.
Your engine's got to still be running though, right? When you're on that high, when you're after it, you got to still be like vibrating with energy, because
the molecules are still going. But you and I are very similar, right? So we talk to people and we get charged up. You know, some people get like depletes their battery. Brian and I, we hang around. People are like, yeah, let's go. What's next?
Yeah, let's do it again. And you guys are going to do it again, right?
We'll do it again.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. But the event had great people, great food, great content, and it was just strict, absolutely amazing. So
Appreciate
I'm super proud of you, buddy.
Thank you.
Great job.
I know I'm impressing the right folks when Brian's impressed. I appreciate that.
Stop. All right, Ashish, good to see you, buddy. I know you've been bouncing around California the last couple of days. You got a lot going on. Give a little intro to our audience about what you're working on.
Yeah, I just came back from Wing at Half Moon Bio. There was a conference where all the different sectors of technology came together. So Microsoft CEO was there, Boston Dynamics CEO. It's just amazing to see with AI how all the fields, healthcare, education, technology, supply chain, they all can learn from each other.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing learning, immersive experience. I go back actually after this podcast to that. But we're very excited. We're launching today something very special. That's been kind of the journey for the last 25. I'm a physician by background. I'm a gastroenterologist. And last 25 years immersed in technology completely. Informatics at Cleveland Clinic. Then Chief Innovation Officer at Mount Sinai Health System in the East Coast, New York. And now I'm in the West Coast. I just have been the CIO and Chief Digital Health Officer at UC Davis Health. Just transitioned over to start this new co called GenServe.AI that's being launched today. So it's great. And the goal is really, there's so much innovation happening outside. I call it you're standing in front of the ocean and seeing all the innovation, but there's nothing that's coming inside the health systems. So you're still thirsty in spite of the ocean out there. So how do you bridge the gap between innovation and impact? And that's what we're focusing on.
Yeah, I love it. Well, at any point, Nick, feel free to take over the show, because I know this is right up your alley. I mean, both these guests
how that works.
Yeah.
Well, I do have one quick question. When you're looking at innovation in the healthcare space, do you want to start something from within the ecosystem and try to fix it from within? Because I know there's a lot to fix. Or do you think it's better just to start something from scratch and compete with the existing ecosystem?
Such a great question. I think there's a value in both. So we call it inside-out transformation. But to really do inside-out transformation, you need to have a lens of the purpose and the structure and the governance and regulatory and all that you've learned from a data standpoint so far. But at the same time, you need to have a very good lens of outside what's happening. And I'll give one example of that. 80% of all the data in healthcare has been logged before because it's unstructured data, like in notes, images, pathology. We never had a way to unlock it in a very easy manner. With LLMs now, we can completely unlock that power.
Wow.
And that's just opening up amazing possibilities never existed before. So I think it's great. And that's why I think conferences like Wing is great, because you learn from all the ecosystem, then you bring it within your structure.
That's beautiful. All right. And yeah, we'll do a deeper dive on that. And one of the questions I have as we kind of come back to this would be, with such an ocean to be boiled and transformed, how did you choose what needed to be tackled first, like your point of entry? So we'll talk about that, because there's a lot of startups that need to figure out, okay, where is my point of entry, and what the frameworks you were using to kind of figure that out. So we'll go down that rabbit hole and geek out. Luke, good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, good to see you too, Brian.
Yeah, talk a little bit about what you're doing and introduce yourself to the audience.
Yeah, and nice to meet you guys too. So my name's Luke Blauch, CEO and co-founder of a company called Drop XL. So we're also doing AI, but and we're using it for drug discovery, but our belief is fundamentally that AI is never going to be enough to design the best drugs. You also need to test them. But right now, we can only test about 20 different drugs for function. And right now, the AI models that are out there have like a 99% failure rate to create anything that has any use for being a drug. So what we're doing at DropXL is merging our AI platform with a high throughput screening platform, screen drugs for function in cancer, autoimmune disease. You can do it for obesity, almost any disease really. And so we screen millions of drugs for function, quantify their function in our high throughput screening platform, then use that to train the models, pull out the best molecules as well, iterate on that until we have the best drugs possible for the clinic.
I love it. And give a little, definitely want you to ask a question, but give a little background of what got you here. I mean, you just didn't roll out of bed and say, I'm going to go tackle this problem.
No, I didn't. So I did my PhD at Stanford. Before then, take another step back. Why did I do that? My uncle actually died from pancreatic cancer when I was about 20 years old. He was a stand-up comedian, would have loved being on this show and some of the stuff we were talking about earlier. But that was kind of a big hit to me and my family. And before he passed, he and I had a chance to talk about kind of what I want to do in my career. Like, I'm 20 years old, I can do literally anything. Getting a degree in chemical engineering at the time, and kind of landed on it would be great to make a difference in healthcare. I started to get an appreciation for the science that went into drug building. Did a couple of internships at Vertex Pharmaceuticals, courtesy of a family friend, I guess. And so, learned how drugs are made, learned, all the problems that are there in the drug discovery process. They actually approved the first CF drug when I was doing an internship there, which was pretty cool. But learned how many drugs are failing and wanted to do something about that. So did my PhD in a technology called microfluidics at Stanford. It's all about using tiny fluidic manipulations to do experiments that couldn't be done before, do them at much higher throughput. So basically, we've miniaturized the whole drug discovery process to a way that we can run these screens much more efficiently and much faster and much higher throughput.
Yeah. So Nick, the truth of the matter is, the reason why I brought you here today, I want to introduce you a couple more keynote speakers for your event. So
I appreciate that.
But you had a question for Luke.
I was just thinking a second ago, like how would a fortuitous scenario? And I was like, wait, Brian probably did this on purpose. Actually,
it's not random chance.
He's smarter than I look.
I expected to be on here with some like random like AI guys.
Yeah.
And then, a doctor.
We got a construction tech AI platform.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I guess I was just kind of curious. So we were talking to Adam Grease a while ago, who I got connected through Ruby. Shout out to Ruby A. And Adam did a 6-week, I think it was a 6-week or 8-week longevity summit in Berkeley last year. It was a big success, but also a hellacious amount of work. And he actually, I went to go see him at Stack, which is if you haven't been there, 1900 Broadway. Strongly recommend it. So shout out to what you guys are doing. And he had mentioned that the FDA is very particular in how they're approving drugs. Mm-hmm. And it's not just the safety, but also the efficacy. Mm-hmm. As a libertarian, I kind of feel like the market should determine that. So, as long as it's safe, as long as it's not going to do any damage, that's what the FDA should be in charge of. How are you thinking about this, Luke?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to be careful with marketing something to millions of patients, especially the way that we do that in this country with, I don't think there's anything wrong with marketing approved drugs to patients, but, if you're going to take something and do like a vitamin approach, like you want to make sure that it's going to have some sort of effect. For some diseases, maybe a terminal illness, right? Something where there's no other treatment. The FDA actually they're a little bit more lenient on what they approve, and it's kind of fast tracked.
It's like an expanded access program or something, or?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you exactly what it's called, but it is fast tracked and made to be easier. So, sure. I think that's kind of the way that we deal with it here. I understand then there's a point to be made about like, where do you draw that line between approval and not approval, and that's a conversation that really is had whenever you have a new leader in the FDA, and we're having a lot of new leaders in the FDA right now. So it's a conversation that is being had, and I think one of the things that I've heard from pharmaceutical companies is that they just want those rules to be defined so that they can match up with them, right?
Similar to crypto, I guess. Just tell us what the rules are, so we know what to play.
So you would know what to break if you're in crypto, right?
So you're creating a drug discovery platform. Are you still having to go through the regular rigmarole of the FDA and approval process?
Yeah, every drug has to go through the FDA approval process if it's going to be used and prescribed and be paid for by.
But does your company, because you're not actually making the
so
drug?
we don't have to worry about that right now. I think longer term, it's something that we will see on. So our company right now, we're focused on discovering the best drugs. There's no FDA approval process or any regulations on what you can discover, right? You're just finding the best compounds that have the most effect and lowest toxicity at this stage, and then you do more tests before you even touch people with them. And so those other tests are much more regulated. That's where you're creating your final data package to present a drug to the FDA. We'll be involved in those steps for sure. But then actually taking a drug into the clinic and through the clinic, that's a strategy that's going to be determined by what we actually discover and whether it makes sense to do those programs developed in-house, which requires a significant capital investment, or if that's something that we're going to then say, hey, big pharma, Sanofi or Merck or any of those guys, we have this great data package. It looks like this molecule really could work in the clinic, be really beneficial to patients. Do you want to license this from us? And then they can take it further and worry about the regulations.
Yeah, but to get to this point for you went through a unique process with the Agentic that I'd like to talk a little bit about later. But since we're on this kind of Genesis conversation, Ashish, I want to kind of have you chime in here. What was kind of your run up to discover, to tackle the market and where you guys are going after right now?
Yeah. So I think it came from the real need when I was the CIO and Chief Digital Health Officer at UC Davis Health.
Shout out to my alma mater.
Great. And, I launched a collective called VALIDAI 2 years ago, seeing the enormous potential of Gen AI. It can be a game changer if we do it the right way in healthcare. But the thing is, exactly, no one knows what the principles are and how to do it safely, but how to really create an impact. So we thought we need to create new science of how to use generative AI in healthcare. And the best way to do that is you create a collective, and then you can start learning from that. But as we did the first year, it's been touching 2 years for the collective, we did an assessment, and most of the organizations felt they are ready to implement AI. But the challenge they felt is exactly where to start. And they can't just go, 50% of employees are already using public LLMs at work. So there was a big security risk because if you put patient information outside that goes to the model, someone can really jailbreak as well and get that information. A lot of IP information is going outside. So there was both from the cybersecurity and the privacy, there was a very big risk every organization is facing. There's a lot of risk, $1 million per incident for HIPAA leak. And that's every organization is going through with employees accessing public LLM. The second part is really what drove is there was a lot of fear getting in healthcare. AI is going to replace doctors. AI is going to replace employees. So you introduce any AI that's taken with a fear, right? And then you can't assimilate it because there's already a fear among the employees that this is going to replace us. So we wanted to change the narrative. We wanted to change the narrative. How about instead of saying AI going to replace physicians or employees, can we bring AI to superpower every single employee? Give the superpower, because right now you are afraid because you see that external to you. But what if that power is within you? Right? So we learned about how we can actually scale enterprise-wide within 30 days, bring AI to every employee, and they get a taste of what it is, really see the benefit of it, and then move away from many people having fear of it and rejecting it to actually really getting empowered by it. And once you have that framework, you are using AI every day, then the fear is gone. So we call it making AI affordable and actionable, and making AI visible to every single employee.
I love it. Nick, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that it sounds great in practice, in theory, but what does the rollout look like? What are the actions that you're taking to get people to feel more comfortable using these these tools?
Yeah.
It's probably training has a lot to do with it.
Great question, Nick. Absolutely. I think if you just give a technology tool, people say it's a 10% adoption. But really what you want to do, you want to be very intentful. And it starts with the CEO and the leadership. So you have to say, hey, we want to upskill every one of you. And this is the most important initiative we are doing.
Can I pause you for a second?
Yeah.
Because I want our listeners to hear this, lean into this, because though you're tackling this from a medical perspective, we had, the question has been with a lot of people I've been engaging with, and what we had on last week with AI strategy within an organization. You can take this same thinking, hear the framework, and apply it to your organization. Right. And so I want our audience to kind of earmark that. And Brian, I know you had something you wanted to add, but
it's dovetailing on to what Nick asked, actually, because after you're done with your with your response, Ashish, I'd like to hear maybe just a real world example, like if there was a paradigm or where this would be applied and then put into action by the employee, what would that look like? You must, I'm guessing, have.
Well, that's what I wanted people to lean into, because I think you and I are thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
This framework is going to apply to any AI strategy.
Right, because just like Nick asked, in theory it sounds great, but in application, what does it look like? How does it work?
All right, spotlight's on you.
What's the adoption?
The world is listening.
And this is such a great question, because I think we often underestimate, hey, we bring the AI and it's going to do the magic. To really do the magic, it has to be a lot of intentionality. And so one of the things is, if you start with a leadership approach, the CEO and others saying, hey, we want every one of you to be upskilled. And this is a number one metric we're going to have for the year for us. We're going to bring this technology and we want all of you to log on, use it. We're going to be tracking the metrics. So first there has to be some kind of initiative, not just throw it. A lot of visibility inside. But then you also need to create champions in different service areas. We're going to come back to use cases, Brian, which you mentioned. Mm-hmm. So you need to create champions. As soon as you have this technology head, you have to say, hey, I can see a very big impact in client success. I can see a very big impact in data analysis. I can see a great impact in patient education. Mm-hmm. Let me get people from there to be trained so they become champions and they can train others, right? So you need that use cases across different job profile.
Yeah.
So we have already identified around 50 different use cases. So right from contracting, procurement, which takes sometimes 1 year, which you can automate to many things, to data analysis, which is just a game changer. I'll talk more about that data part. So I think then you bring those, so you have to make the technology digestible. I call it, you have to be able to ingest it so it's sweet, so you do it. But then you have to make it digestible so it creates an impact. So there's a lot of intentionality. One of the things we're also trying to do is when we launch it, we actually do a boot camp. Actually have people come over and they actually design their workflows right within that. So they, in a very team-oriented manner, the fear goes away with joy. And the teams take over, if they do it. So I think there's a enterprise-wide tracking. There's a leadership. There is a bottoms-up approach of empowering everyone and becoming leaders. There is a way to reward people every quarter who are bringing the best technology and making it in the most useful manner and showcasing them as a poster child for innovation. And then also publishing the impact. Because it's not just you do it and you're done. It's a continuous journey we are on for the next 10 years for upskill every single employee. So you need to share those stories in that regard.
I love this. And I definitely, again, I want to mark this so that so you as a listener can come back to this. We'll even probably grab this and use it as a little clip. But this was a really quick, and Luke, I want you to chime in too, because I know you have your own add to this. But this was a really quick overview on an AI strategy and implementation within your own organization, not just in Ashish's game plan, but this could be used for you as well. And it's a big question that's out there. And Luke, I want to hear what you've kind of done to kind of get adoption with your product. Same question, just go ahead and chime in.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so there's all these different AI technologies out there for drug discovery, for everything, but including drug discovery. There's a lot of different models that people are using, such as AlphaFold, Bolt, a whole bunch of different ones to design antibody binders to a target. That technology is being developed as we speak and being improved as we speak. But, we saw kind of an opportunity. So taking a step back, we previously developed our own technology for the high throughput testing of these molecules, which we call Excel drops. We're basically miniaturizing the screens down to the single cell level and screening millions of different molecules for function. And so we saw an opportunity with the latest AI models to bring that technology in-house and use it to do a number of different things, which when used by themselves haven't really lived up to the promise that drug companies have wanted. Mm-hmm. But when you pair them with our platform, we think that we can have them live up to the promise of actually bringing better drugs into the clinic, not just some molecules, design some molecules which kind of work but don't really work that well, which you don't actually want to take forward. And so we've been working with a company which is very active in the Bay Area called the Agentic, which is one of the sponsors of this show, I believe. Mm-hmm. And so their team, we've been working with them, I want to say about 2 months. And so what we've been doing is putting some of the best models together into an agentic workflow, which allows us to use the best models to create our own antibody libraries, which are optimized along a number of different factors, which are important for drugs such as binding, making sure that you have a diverse library, testing not just a bunch of the same thing. It's predicted to be stable and to have low immunogenicity, which is a form of toxicity. We'll build in other forms of toxicity as well. And so now when we're screening for all these different things, we can create libraries in the thousands to millions is our goal of different molecules, which are predicted to have an effect. Again, most of them won't the first time, but we can do a deep screen and find the ones that are really useful. Mm-hmm. And now that, why are these models not performing that well? Most people agree that I've talked to, it's because they don't have enough data. So they're trained on maybe a couple of thousand different antibodies. In our case, we'll be able to train on millions of antibodies per week, really, on our platform. And so with this, now we can get these models vastly improved in terms of what they can predict. We can also take the molecules that we do find and improve on them and find new variants which are predicted to have better function and test those.
And ultimately, how will that move the needle for drug discovery?
Yeah, I'm glad that you asked, because I'm directly answering your question, not answering that part. So the big picture, you got to realize 90% of drugs fail clinical trials, and 2/3 of the time, the reason they fail is because of potency and toxicity issues. So our thinking is that, from what I've seen in drug discovery, what a lot of people have seen in drug discovery is you're basically pressured to take what you find forward. It's not necessarily the best thing. It's what you find that works, that checks a bunch of different boxes. And so if we can find the best thing, we'll be able to take the best possible, most functional drug, least toxic drug forward into those further clinical stage validations. But we won't just have one drug. We'll be testing millions of them. So we can have multiple different drug candidates, which then give you much lower risk as you go along that development of finding one or more that matches all of your different criteria. So that also de-risks the drug discovery process. Why are drugs so expensive? It's because it's an extremely risky business. You got the 90% clinical trial failure rate. If we can bring that down to 70%, that would be amazing for the industry.
So look, you're a drug testing company. When you hire an employee, what kind of drugs do they get to test?
Ask for a friend.
And did you bring enough for everybody?
We have only the best ones.
Okay. Oh, nice. Good answer.
Joking aside, is it in the transcription phase that most of these drugs tend to fail, or what does it look like from your customer perspective?
Yeah, the drugs can fail at any stage of the development process. A lot of it's early stage where we can we have a big effect. So the last company I was at had a program failure right where DropXL could have made an impact. So they found a bunch of different binding drugs. We tested them, and then they ended up, none of them had any function. We had to can the program, can the company. It had raised $50 million and just,
wow,
gone in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brian.
I got a two-part question. First part is, historically, in modern history, drug companies develop drugs that only are going to have a huge group of people that need them, right? And so people with more obscure problems don't get they don't get drugs developed for them. Because you're able to test such a wide variety of molecules and do the kind of massive processing that you're talking about, does this mean that some people with more niche problems are going to get attention like they haven't gotten in the past?
Yeah, that's my hope. That's my hope. I mean, the rare disease market is actually a pretty good place to develop drugs these days because there's nothing that works for these patients. But obviously, these companies are looking to make a profit. My hope is that the answer is yes. The reason I think that we can get there is because I think that if our platform works as we say that it will, we are able to de-risk the drug discovery process. That's going to make drug development significantly cheaper and lower risk. That'll have a better return on investment, lower risk. It'll bring more money in. That when you have increased investment, that's going to lead to more drugs being developed. You also have, in theory, if you have more drugs being developed, you should also have more competition within like the big markets. That should make these smaller markets more attractive as well.
Second part, what if you were a betting person? What's your forecast for being able to really have a significant impact in the marketplace?
Well, I've bet my career on this, so.
But I mean, not that you will. I believe that you will. I mean,
Right.
we've only been hearing you talk for almost half an hour, but time-wise, like what's your horizon of time if you were to place bets? Ashish, is that a decent question?
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
So how long do I think it will take?
I got a validation from Ashish,
Yeah, you
which
just
I
have through
appreciate.
compliance on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we will have a very good certainty of how big of an impact we can realistically make in the next year. I think it's going to be a major impact.
It's just so amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is amazing.
We're collecting this
I have
data
chills
right now. We're collecting this data. We will be able to demonstrate, how well are we able to predict these drugs to have function out of our AI platform. We will then find the ones that are functional. We can do that within a matter of months. We're fundraising actively, so some of that's dependent on raising a little bit of capital. But once we do that, we're going to get the data. We have connections with the largest pharmaceutical companies already. They're very interested. We need the data to support what we are saying. So we're going out there getting that data. We have most of the platform developed already. Just need to kind of show it for it's a data-driven business, right? So I can't just go out there and say that we can do something. I can say that here. I can say that to set the vision for the company, but the customers really want to see that data package.
I got like 30 investors you need to talk to.
Please send them my way. I'd be happy to talk to them.
Yeah.
Please.
Do you, I'm sorry, Brian, but I got to follow
Lean in,
up now.
Brian. I love it.
Do you then expect to be completely bogged down to like a standstill by government intervention or regulatory approvals or things like that?
Well, that's a really good question. And I think if we were to get to that point, like that's when we're going to be licensing out stuff, right? Like if we can't handle the amount of workload that because we're finding too many great molecules, of course, we can expand the company to take on those. I also think it'll make sense to license out some of the programs which we're excited about, but maybe a little bit less excited about, and we can focus more of that development, like regulatory development, towards just the most exciting programs.
I love it. So when you skyrocket in the next year, you remember the little people.
I mean, you guys can join on the journey for now. I'm joining.
I love it. All right, Brian, I think we're ready for our break. When we come back, we'll chat with Nick about how he felt the conference went, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's on the horizon for you when we come back.
Right?
No.
All right.
All right, we're back with Luke, Ashish, and Nick. And at the break, Luke, you were getting ready to ask an inquisitive question, so I want to let you rip and kick us off.
Yeah, so Nick, I know you hosted this longevity conference last week, which I had been hearing a lot about. I was just wondering, like, what is your like bigger role in like the ecosystem? Like, what is it that you do?
Yeah. Thank you, Luke. We connect our community to really smart people like yourself. So essentially, you could say like a facilitator of sorts. But also in a way that's not just educational, but also fun. So like, for example, on Brian's show, like there's a lot of laughing and there's a lot of learning, and the brain actually increases in retention when this happens. Also, the brain increases in retention when you're out and getting fresh air. So Steve Jobs was a big fan of these these walking meetings. So, so I maybe you could integrate that into future. If you go on a walk, there's this, you're side by side with somebody, you're headed towards a common direction as opposed to across the table playing poker and I don't want to show my cards kind of a thing. So there's a psychological perspective there. But yeah, Luke, back to your question, my wife and I started the Ageless Evolution Longevity Summit about 2.5 years ago now. Yeah, and it was born out of Silicon Zombies, which is a live show that we have. In fact, Brian and I started with Sean and these guys years ago at the same time. So we kind of came out of the same
Clubhouse.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Clubhouse days.
That was fun stuff.
That explains why we were talking about zombies earlier, which went completely over my head.
Oh yeah,
So that makes more sense.
delicious brains.
Well, just a casual reference to zombies.
Talk about what the podcast a little bit. How's that been? Continue that thread.
For sure. So when we, to take us like back to the beginning, when we had first started, our friend Sean was like, well, times are a little weird. Everybody's locked up. We still want to connect and, have fun and, crack some jokes. So we did on Clubhouse. And then kind of by virtue of that, this thing started, and we just get people to tell their stories, and in much the same way, I think a lot of times people can be afraid of technology. They don't have to be, right? Like if we make it, if we're able to get them comfortable with it, then they're emboldened by it, and then there's positivity that comes from it, and then you're doing it with other people, and then it feels like not so isolating. I think sometimes technology can feel isolating, especially when somebody else has the knowledge and you don't. So if you learn about it and apply it, so you can listen, you can learn, you can apply, and you can grow. I think that's a beautiful space to be. And frankly, that's why I'm such a big fan of what you guys are doing, because you're doing a lot of the same thing. So
Yeah.
This is Silicon Valley Impact.
You just can't say it enough. Yeah, Nick, you just became a soundbite. Thanks, buddy.
Yes.
We'll be
I
playing that.
have a follow-up. So you're in the longevity space. You run these longevity conferences. I'm partially in the longevity space. We, are designing new drugs. I'd love to just talk about kind of the differences and how maybe we look at it's kind of how to do healthcare, and just kind of I guess understand what you think, we should be doing in healthcare better. Cause I feel like you have some ideas that are a little bit different from how a trained scientist.
I love that a Stanford Ph.D. is asking me these things.
That's legit.
I know.
That's legit.
And we're probably all leaning in on this one, I'm sure, because I think this is a really modern conversation that people are having. A lot of people are really leaned into this idea.
And let me just give a little bit of context here. I am coming around to the Silicon Valley longevity way of thinking about things. I'm curious about it. I'm looking to kind of learn more about it. I think that the way a lot of people who are trained in science and work on drugs see it is a lot of kind of BS, to be honest, or just kind of
witchcraft.
Because there's a lot of I think the problem is not and this is what I've come to realize, it's not the ideas behind this version of longevity. It's that a lot of the companies that are being started in this space are doing things that are kind of BS.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of movement here, and a lot of people trying to create technologies or companies and they say they're in the longevity space, and then it's we created, a machine to give you a massage, and then, trying to make you younger by massaging your face or something. It's I guess
snake oil, the old snake oil pitch.
Some of them are proper snake oil, and some of them are I don't know if this is or not snake oil, because we don't have any data to suggest it one way or another. So I just would love to get your perspective on this.
Sure. Yeah. So, there's a couple of things to unpack there. I would say that the biggest thing is, and you already mentioned it, is just to be data driven. And because of there's a lot of noise. In fact, Dr. Hillary Lin, also a Stanford PhD, MD, and she kicked it off. She said that it's a really noisy space. So first, and even zooming out from longevity, anytime we're having a conversation about anything, we need to clarify what the terms are, what we're talking about. How are we going to get to even having a proper debate or further our collective knowledge? When I think about how true innovation happens, it's typically when there's two disparate spaces that meet, and at that intersection, there can be a quantum leap when it's real applications, and like you said, that there's actual data behind it. So I find a lot of joy in what I get to do, because we get to bring together a lot of disparate spaces. Like maybe there's Ayurvedic medicine, maybe there's breathing techniques, maybe there's, biologics or drug discovery, or maybe oncology, right? Like my mom was diagnosed a couple years ago with stage 4 cancer. She's made a full recovery,
that's great.
which is incredible.
Yeah.
In fact, it was a targeted therapeutic that was made for her body. And this just came out of clinical trials a couple years ago. Plus we got a dog. I think the dog probably made her happy too. And all the good stuff. So a lot of prayers and best surgeon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I hope that answered your question. I know it's a little all over.
No, I think what you're saying. I'm just going to kind of summarize what I heard, and you tell me if this is what you're saying. That there's a lot of things. Yes, drugs. What we're doing is part of what can lead to people having a longer, healthier life. For example, drugs against cancer or other, curable diseases or currently incurable diseases. Right. That's part of the conversation on health and longevity. But you also think that there's these other techniques that should be evaluated and brought out into the open for people.
Exactly. When you get a lot of brain power together, you can start to see patterns that you could apply to your own space. Like, for example, Dr. Arbella Sarkis, who works here in Los Gatos, and her husband, John, who's the head of commercial at a company called TrueBinding, they're stopping reversing Alzheimer's and dementia by they created a drug called TB006 that binds to a sticky protein that, historically, I think a lot of the misnomer or incorrect direction for solving some of these cognitive diseases was beta amyloid buildup, which is extracellular buildup, not intracellular buildup or cellular senescence. Like these are different. It was a wrong direction to be going, right, to solve Alzheimer's and dementia. But by bonding to the sticky protein, you're able to have this really pretty. Are you guys familiar with an MMSE, like the MIDI mental model?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and in fact, maybe you, as a physician, you could share with the audience what this testing is and how it generally works, if you could.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we need to have the key thing in the medicine is what is pathology and what is physiology, what is normal and what is abnormal, and we need to have a cutoff to do that. For example, for diabetes, it's a blood sugar, which allows that cutoff, or HbA1c. But how do you define that cutoff in neurological symptoms like Alzheimer's? So we can create kind of instruments and questionnaires. Based on that score, you can say if it is this score, the person is not scoring, then they are at risk for, we call mini mental state examination. This person is at risk for dementia or is in demented state. So MMSE is very well validated across the world instrument in multiple languages, which you can ask a person in front of you to do certain things. And it tests various functions of the brain, from memory to using hand skills and following commands and others. And based on that, you can actually say this person is at risk or really demented.
Yeah. Thank you for that was a whole heck of a lot better than I could have said it. And so I think that kind of touches your point earlier. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it, and there's the efficacy that's pretty cut and dry. And the cool thing about this company, TrueBinding, is not only have they raised over $250 million, but touching back on what you mentioned earlier about the FDA process, the expanded access program, when there's no meaningful alternative and there's a very real problem you're struggling with, if your early data is promising, the FDA will grant you this. And in 2023, they were the only company out of almost 100 companies that applied that received this expanded access program. And I think they call it like compassionate care or compassionate use. One of those.
That's great.
So what I'm hearing you say in response to Luke's question, Luke, I mean, if I could just paraphrase your question real quick for our audience, is, from the market's perspective rather than a trained professional's perspective, there's a difference. Is that what I'm hearing? You're saying, and what that difference is?
I think there's a difference between what somebody who is in what they would call the longevity space, how they think about health, and how a trained drug developer thinks about health. And I don't think that one way is necessarily correct or the other, but they are different, and I wanted to understand that.
Well, that's what I'm hearing. I'm feeling. It could be, I mean, the gamut of precision drug application all the way to having a dog around you, and everybody's different.
Like here's an example of where a case where I think the medical system fails, at least around here. So my wife and I just had our second baby, a baby girl, like 2 weeks ago.
Congrats.
Three weeks ago when this episode airs.
Good job. You're a veteran.
Exactly. And I'm so annoyed with the hospital system for something like that. I think when you're talking about like a disease like cancer or something where you need to cure it, like let's use all the interventions, you need to, assuming that's what the patient wants, right? But we're talking about something that people have been doing successfully for a very, very long time, right? And all my wife and I wanted was to try to have this birth like as naturally as possible. It just really felt like it did that goal did not align with some of the protocols that these doctors had. And we had a much better experience in Boston, where I think there's just a lot more thought that goes into it. It's just like the capital of the world in terms of healthcare, right? And had a smaller hospital here, but I feel like, honestly, like if we could bring in kind of some of what you're working on, Ashish, and like why do I feel like I'm more educated on how we can, have this birth the way that we want to than my nurses.
Yeah.
Like why I have a PhD, I can go on ChatGPT, I can ask it stuff, I can do my own research, I can find some papers. But like I don't do this day in and day out. Like there should be a way for someone else who's a trained professional to get this type of information and then like apply like kind of a more precision, I guess, medicine, not using the traditional way, but precision medicine for what that patient's goals are as well.
And if I can build on that, I think something I've been really thinking about it a lot is the gap between the medical care and health. Right? When we do medical school, we sometimes get into belief that we see a patient maybe 2 times a year and we can impact the health, which is every time, every second, right? Mm-hmm. How, Brian, you are feeling right now in your full expression with jovial, with joy, engagement is health. But how many minutes you interact with the medical profession? So if you really deconstruct that, our time with the patient is only 0.007%. And through that, we believe we can impact health, which is the rest 99.99%. Right? And I do believe AI provides a tremendous opportunity in 2 ways. One is if the same tools like ChatGPT you have is completely accepted within the enterprise, which we are trying to employ, they can quickly listen to you. And in fact, if you are speaking, they can record it and it can actually suggest this is also a viable way. So they will have an opening, which they may not have an opening before because they don't have any other resource to validate at the same point. So you empower the employees at the same level. But the other part is you can create then digital avatars. So the next stage, which we are doing once you empower the employees is give them tools. So for example, I'll give a simple example. I do colonoscopies. And we give a paper printout to the patient to say, hey, show up after 3 months with this colonoscopy. We thought we were doing our job, but 50% of people don't even know where they've kept the paper. So 1 out of 4 colonoscopies have poor bowel prep. $3,000 cost of a procedure. Many patients never show up, right? We do not have enough clinicians to guide the patient every single day in their journey, whether it is diabetes or any procedure or cancer care. But now with AI, if it is repeatable, replicable with some variation, I can create a digital avatar of myself that I can say, you have this procedure or you have this childbirth. This is validated by scientific information. You can ask questions from this. It will guide you throughout the journey. In fact, I can combine my digital avatar with the best doctor in Boston, and we can have a common knowledge base. And that is with the patient every single time. Like a perfect mind melt of our knowledge with scientific information and patient can happen. And I think that's something that we're trying to aim for to bridge that gap between medical care and healthcare.
Nick, that's a whole different level of brains there, buddy.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
exactly.
That is exciting stuff. And so that's exactly what you guys are working on. You're bridging that gap. And so I'm going to ask all of you this question, of course, but when I ask you, Nick, I want a recap of your conference. So what's next then, Ashish, with this horizon? I mean, what you both are working on is super exciting. And Ashish, you're launching today. Tell us a little bit more about what's next. What can be expected from this?
Yeah. So people can check out GenServe.AI. We actually, while in stealth, we have founding health systems partners, but we are growing our founding health system partners. We believe it has to be collective effort by many health systems building the science and art of the new AI, bringing into practice. And I think then we are opening it up with the data trust so we can create these digital avatars, right? So we need to empower the employees, then they can empower the patients in that regard. So what we are hoping is, we just announced our seed round raise as well. We actually went live last week. So it just give me, chills when I think about it. Last startup we did, we touched 30 million lives. And that was rule-based AI. And as a gastroenterologist, maybe I would touch 5,000, 10,000 lives in my time.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing, like, oh my God, we can make a difference to 30 million people. And I think now with partnerships, we can make 10x impact. In fact, one of the health systems that's partnering is actually in a global partner for us. So that's the other part. You do not require FDA approval if you do the AI technology the right way, right? So digital health can actually transcend national boundaries.
Interesting.
So if we create something great, the next day it can be made globally available as a resource for healthcare.
That's amazing. Is this your first company?
This is my second company. We exited the last company touched 30 million lives, got acquired 2 years ago. The leadership team from that has joined me, as well as my innovation team from UC Davis Health for this GenServe.AI.
Amazing, amazing. So there's definitely more to come from you. We got to have you back on the show. We got to have this whole crew back on the show, Brian.
This is so fun.
We can just have
Let's have him back
separate
next week.
podcast.
Yeah, I think we need a little more legs than that. Yeah. Okay. But real quick, is my mic on, Brian?
I turned your headphones down a little bit, Brian.
I felt it.
Okay, your headphones are connected to my headphones. Do you know that?
No, I didn't.
We are one. The Bryans here are one. We've mind melded.
That's a team
so that we're
right
all on the same. You and I are on the same headphones.
Okay. Well, I was today years
and
old.
it was a little loud in my ears, so I turned you down, hoping you wouldn't notice.
Okay.
Yeah, let's continue with the show, shall we?
Nick, you just had a great summit. I mean, these guys would definitely benefit from your summit. What were some of the wins for you? You felt from this year compared to last year, because you really took a leap this year into a great direction. So, I mean, this is still raw. You haven't had a chance to unpack, but let's talk a little bit. What were some of the big wins you felt?
Yeah. Thank you for the kind words. And I look at it as our summit because it was definitely a collection of amazing humans that they were able to help us pull it all off. You know, there were some folks that said, "Hey, you're hosting a longevity summit. Like, what are your longevity protocols?" I was just like, I don't know, like hot tubs. Like, that's just, I want to hear about what your guys' protocols are. But I would say some of the biggest wins were the fact that, there was a lot of cool business that happened. Like last year, there was a $50,000 workout machine, a device that got sold like on at the summit. This year, and also last year, there was a $250,000 philanthropic check that was written to one of the nonprofits as well.
That's amazing.
A professor from Berkeley, in fact, Dr. Victor Pineda, who, oh man, I know this
it's
is
all
last
coming back
year.
at once. Yeah.
It's like this is a flood of emotions. So this was last year, but Dr. Victor Pineda, he's an incredible individual. He's been in a wheelchair since he was a young man because of a degenerative disease, and he was asking himself, like, what's my purpose? Why am I here? And then he came to this understanding of being able to support others. He's an incredibly brilliant guy, and he said, my muscles may be weak, but I can lift you up with my words. And so, like, there wasn't a dry eye by the end of the... Anyway, so that was last year. This year, what we were able to do is add what we called the Longevity Experience Pavilion. So we had about 20 different individuals with really cool, like, there was a workout machine called the Ethereal Machine that has virtual reality, but also it's like you're pumping weights. So it feels like you're flying in the video game. So,
there was a line for that, by the way. I don't know if you saw it, but I was out there and I saw there was a line for that.
Beautiful.
It was popular.
That's great to hear. And then, of course, like the Longevity Cube, these guys came up from LA. That was like a 10 by 10 by 10 LED walls, like immersive. There was, vitamin B12 shots.
I got one of those, Brian.
Did you try the massage, the chair?
Again, the line.
Wave?
Yeah, no, I wanted to, and I met the CEO. He was there.
Okay.
Yeah, and I meant to get to that, but no, I saw it.
I'll hook you up. Maybe we could have him on the show.
Let's
you could
do
say
it, yeah.
a little trade or something.
Bring the chair. We'll do it, and we'll all have chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Okay.
That's a cool idea. So yeah, it was just we added some more live music. We had a Lawrence Beeman, he was a finalist on America's Got Talent, and just a beautiful soul and an eco entrepreneur. So this guy's, in fact, I'm going to introduce you to Lawrence if you haven't met him already. But just remarkable humans. Everybody's happy, and we'll we 3x the audience. So we're headed in a good direction.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
So.
it's really. And so, what's next? You have another one on. Do you have another one on the calendar? I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. I'm not supposed to.
There's some exciting stuff in the works. So we'll put it that way.
There's more to come.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know that was a great event. And so I definitely have to ask you all, and Luke, I'll kind of come to you on this. What's next for you guys now?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking. So, we're actively trying to grow the company. We're actively looking for pharmaceutical partnerships. We're hoping that we can sign our first one in the next couple weeks. Always looking for more there. We're also raising a pre-seed, seed round, whatever you want to call it, $2 million. We're going to be using that to basically get all this data that I mentioned is really important for the bringing our platform to that next stage of commercialization, and doing some of those de-risking experiments as well, that are going to be what allows us to raise a bigger round and really scale the company.
Yeah, and if I haven't asked yet, make sure you send me your deck. I don't know if you've sent that to me.
I mean, you've seen my deck like 5 times now.
Yeah, so I wanted to say he won the Agentic pitch competition, so kind of want to hang that trophy.
Yeah, I won 2 of them, but I only won money once.
Did you get one of those Happy Gilmore checks?
I held something, but wasn't a check.
Oh wow!
It was just a name.
Brian,
a template.
Viewer discretion is advised.
No, but those guys are great. I appreciate.
They
everything
built
that
your
they're doing
product.
for
What
the
was that journey
community.
like?
Yeah, I mean, I actually met them at one of the Angel Launch events, which is takes place. Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
So I met them there. I think they were sponsoring the event. Akash, the Agentic CEO, gave a talk there, as he does when he sponsors things typically. And I don't know. I just got talking to him and told him what we were doing, and he told me maybe we can build something for you. And I was telling me I'm interested in bringing AI on with our company. Like, it's a huge potential for what we can do here, but we don't currently have those capabilities. And pretty quickly we both liked each other. We were looking to other options, to be honest. We had opportunities to do partnerships with different existing AI companies, but it ended up just being a lot more attractive for a variety of reasons to build our own platform if we were able to do it with the Agentic. They have a really startup friendly model where you don't have to pay for the development of the platform until you get to a certain stage of development of your company. And so it's been really good. We have we just generated our first 517 antibodies against a cancer target. Very excited about that, and we're just going to keep scaling this thing and getting some data on these antibodies.
Well, that's exciting, and again, that model in which they built for you is such a disruption and has not been. It's going to soon take over startup, because most startup founders, they're builders. But really, with that being taken care of, like what you had done with the Agentic, they're really now strategists where they have to go to market from, and it keeps the cap table clean.
Yeah, I'm super interested to see how their business progresses. They've really kind of taken over the early stage startup community events, and have done very good advertising, and I think it's continuing to work out for them because they build good stuff.
I love that. Okay, so we'll definitely stay tuned for all that. So, Ashish, you're raising, I know I've asked, what would be a win for you today? I mean, again, it's an exciting day. Today's the official launch for you. Congratulations, by the way, if I hadn't said it already. But what can we kind of expect in the next year from what's coming out of it?
So building towards the best AI Center for Excellence network in the country, in the globe. So our goal is to reach 20 health systems of different sizes. We actually got a company in the drug space. We got a company in the biotech space. We have health systems, both academics and others. And we're creating 4 or 5 health systems we are partnering who will be validating technologies, and they'll be validation partners, and other health systems will be implementation partners. So I think, so the goal is with the expansion we're going to get with the seed round, we already live in the platform. So I want to see the joy in all the employees when they get the technology, get the chance to really meaningfully deploy it, change their work, and they get a chance to reshape their work. Not someone else telling it, but they're getting empowered and then touching it to the patients. So this year is more about health systems expansion and the healthcare partnerships. And next year is when we launch the patient care journey with the agentic framework. And we'll actually check out agentic because we're right in the decision making, which frameworks to actually deploy as we reach out to patients. So super excited. I think this will be the largest AI Center for Excellence network in the country.
I love it. And I'll connect you with Akash. I'm really close with him and Hans, and so they'll give you the same treatment that they gave Luke.
Fabulous.
Nick, what's on the horizon for you? I know you're going to be you surf, you relax, you take care of yourself. But what's on the horizon once you recover from now this successful summit that you did? What's next?
Yeah, well, probably a little bit of travel. My wife's from Colombia, so we'll go spend some time with her family. Which family, of course, it's an important thing. Help keep us young. I'm curious when you're implementing technology or AI tools and platforms, how can you do it in such a way that it's fun? Maybe where the employee stays in a space of play, probably because that will provide a better foundation for them rather than like, hey, here's a task, use this tool to do it.
Totally. And I'm glad you touched upon it. I think a lot of it is learnings we did. When I was at Mount Sinai, we did the first med hackathon there, called it Sinai. And it was amazing. We get into one way of being when we are at work, right? So like I'm a gastroenterologist, I know I have to do this thing, and I'm just in that mode, right? So when we are engaging with our peers or others, we stay in that mode because that's the only mode we have in that. So many people say you actually have to do a retreat, take it outside, and actually do like a hackathon. Make that person or get a team of different people in a retreat and have them create things, because we have a lot of no-code build tools. You can build tools, right? So have them do it and then actually have a competition or have everyone show that. So I think there is a lot of intentionality you have to do to not being seen AI as something I have to do or is something is too big for me. There's a big helplessness happening. People don't talk about it. My son's is in high school. Many of the kids says, oh, we don't worry about AI because it's going to take our job anyway. There's such a big helplessness there. I think we owe to humanity to give superpower to each of one of us, because this is what we are creating AI.
Yeah.
And we are creating AI and we are feeling helpless, right? So there's a very big part of changing the narrative. It can be fun. It can be ultimate. That's why I'm into it, leaving my executive job, because I feel it's ultimate form of creativity. And that's why I'm really kind of eager. We need to also partner more with artists, singers, kind of in that regard, and kind of have that healthcare reimagine, create new way of what you really want for your family. And I got that. So
that's beautiful.
There's something there for if you were to do something like what you're doing but in the education, like early childhood education. Like I feel like for a lot of good reasons, the education system is very wary of AI because it can like write your papers for you. Like it makes it very hard to judge what somebody actually knows. But there's something to be said for that. But you also need to be teaching children how to use these tools. Otherwise, you're not going to learn, right? And we need to be learning how to best use these tools. It's like, when I was a kid, they said don't use a calculator because you don't know when you're gonna have a calculator. It was like I got one in my pocket now every day, right?
Yeah.
And so we have to be using these tools to really be not so afraid of what they're gonna do, right? If we've train the next generation of students how to think independently of AI, but also how to think with AI as a tool now. You know, I think of it as kind of like the stage it's in right now is it's a really great employee to work with you who can just get stuff done in instant or a couple minutes, right?
Sure, will be less doing of the work and more managing the agents that are doing the work.
Yeah, like
so what does that look
here's an
like?
example, like just for my what I'm working on. So I needed we're working on a particular target. We want to compare our AI generated antibodies against FDA approved antibodies for this target. If I were to go try to figure out the antibody sequences of these existing drugs, I'd have to go look through the patent literature, and it's a whole lot of work. Instead, I asked ChatGPT, what are the antibody sequences of these patented antibodies, and it went and found those for me, told me the epitopes, and then I just have to check them, right?
Yeah,
so it's much less work.
So that way it wasn't hallucinating or something, right? That
You have to check because they do hallucinate, but you know it's a good first step.
Okay.
And it lowers your workload.
Gotcha.
I love it. Okay, man, this could keep going on. So I definitely want to go around the horn. Nick, want to make sure that you had a chance to kind of talk about what's next for you, but let our audience know how they can connect with you. Talk a little bit about your next Zombies event, because I know you have a podcast, but you do yours live. Which is really cool.
Yeah, in fact, we want to have you on the show, Brian. I think we always have a good time together. So it'll be at the Park James on October 27th. So we'll have Dr. Frank Marches, who's the director for SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, which uses aggregated compute. In fact, I remember that as a kid. I was always a big fan of that. So we'll have a costume competition for, I don't know if it's appropriate, right? So come join us we're at siliconzombies.com. And yeah, it's always a treat to be here with you guys.
Thanks. And they can find you on LinkedIn too as well,
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Ashish, how can people connect with you? And what's next, but final word.
Sure. I'm in LinkedIn, ATREJ. I'm also called an app doctor because I built apps that went to 30 million lives. So you can query that. But the company is GenServe.AI, GenServe.AI, SERVE.ai. And that stands for Gen stands for people and Serve stands for all. So we want to serve all humanity through healthcare by empowering this with AI.
I love it. I love what you guys are doing. All right. Last but not least, Luke, how can people connect with you?
Yeah, feel free to reach out to me at luke@dropexcel.com. That's drop, the letter X, and then cell like in biology.com. And we're raising capital. If you're interested, hear about us on the podcast. Give the Bryans a shout out because that'd be pretty cool if we meet you through this.
Yeah.
And again, we're looking to revolutionize drug discovery. Really make it a lot more efficient and bring only the best molecules forward into the clinic.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, October is a great month for events. We just had the SF Tech Week right now, or just also had the LA Tech Week. Opal for me this week, but also in November, you have your event October 27th. We got our buddy Bill. He's having his event November 7th. Yeah, the AI infrastructure. So check that out.
Yeah, I got to shout out VC Village, which is going to be the 21st, which is I think when this episode is going to come out. So it's probably too late for listeners of this show to join because it's going to be the day that they listen to this podcast, hopefully. But we're going to be doing these they're investor events for investors to meet each other and network without any pitches. I'm co-hosting it because the founder of VC Village asked for some help. He's over in Boston, but it's a multi-city organization, just really trying to bring investors together to make those deep, meaningful
That's what we do, make connections. I love it. Thanks for bringing that up. But most of all, I want to thank you guys for being here today. And Brian, couldn't do it without you, buddy. Thank you so much.
Hey, it's my pleasure, Brian. Happy to be here. Great conversation today. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, you too. Thanks so much.
You.
All right, we'll see you all next week. One more thing.
Just one more thing, Brian. Hey, listen, if you're looking at YouTube or you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. This is a perfect time to go ahead and do that. So we would appreciate it. You'll feel good about it, and there will be rewards that will come to you in this life and the next.
It'll make you healthier.
Indeed, right? It'll improve your longevity.
Two doctors here to shaking their head and laughing at me. We'll see you all next week. Stay safe.
Brian!
See you soon.